What is happening, everybody, man? Thank you guys tuning in to another episode of Coffee and Coaching. I've got the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Nick Good.
What's going on?
To us from Dallas, Texas. What's up?
It's going, man. It's going. Had a nice date night last night, so I ejected from a coaching call last night. So I appreciate you letting me not giving me shit for that.
I know. Current state of affairs, right? When you've got a pregnant wife, you get a chance for a date night. It's like you got.
Well, let's just put it that way. We came back from Ohio on Monday. We had a family reunion. Come back from Ohio on Monday to our AC being out. It was 85 degrees in the house. $7,000 later, finally it's good. And so we had we found ourselves kidless last night, and on the way home from the office, she's like, date night. And then I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, date night, coaching call, date night.
Yeah. And what a great location you guys ended up at as well. So can't beat that. That's one of the things for sure. It's cool, man. So, give a little background about yourself and kind of current business situation, current situation. I mean, you've got so many dang moving parts. It's pretty amazing, how you guys keep everything moving forward.
Yeah. It's it's a process for sure. So I've been in the business. I got in 2005 as an unlicensed assistant. Got licensed in 2006 and then went full time in 2007. And did not hit the ground running. Of course, you can go back and look at some of my other videos and watch the story on that. But kind of fumbled my way around and didn't even know if I was going to stay in it. Right, 2008, the recession hit, and I had some success, and then as the recession was going on, I stumbled my way into this active adult retirement community, selling to people that were buying these houses, and then that just dried up because the retirement money was gone. Right. Overnight, it was pretty much their 401ks. They just didn't have, they did not feel confident and secure that they could retire or even live in this type of neighborhood. And so I went from having 8 deals in 1 month to 0 deals with no prospects and nothing lined up. And so I started looking for a job. And as I'm going on these job offers, I got a job offer for about $55,000, $60,000. By the way, I really should have taken the job if you really analyzed it, but I'm stubborn and hard-headed, and they wanted me to work 6 days a week. And so as I'm analyzing that job offer, I said, well, give me 24 hours to think about it or to just get everything in order. I'll give you a call tomorrow. And then as I'm heading home, that light bulb moment went off that if I were to commit 6 days a week to my real estate business, the way that this W-2 salary job is requiring me to do, there's no reason why I can't make at least 55,000. Heck, there's no reason why I wouldn't make 100,000. And so, that light bulb moment was, all right, I can't earn full-time income on part-time efforts. Right. And so, I turned it down, started learning and diving into prospecting based methods, which is where I found, Kinder Reese coaching at the time. Yeah. And started learning how to make cold calls to expired listings because I was 24 years old. My friends weren't buying from me. My friends' parents weren't buying from their broke college kid friend. And so it was having to learn how to build rapport, how to build trust, how to show value over the phone so I could get into the appointment and then learn how to close at the appointment. And ever since really, mastering that and diving into that cold calling prospecting based methods. I mean, 2009, the Good Home team started, and, fast forward through today, we close 200 plus houses a year. We're on pace to do about, right now, target is about 66 to 70 million. for 2021. And we've also built a investment and development company that has over $100 million worth of investment holdings. That includes almost 300 properties, I believe now, 6 storage facilities, an assisted living facility. We just flipped some land, and so all that good stuff. And so it's just fast forward to all that, right? And then my brother just walking into the background there. So it's just a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, it is, man. It's pretty dang cool what you guys have been able to do, and just that moment, right? Making that decision to not take the job and invest in yourself and invest in a bigger opportunity that doesn't put a framework or put a lid on you. So it's really powerful, and so. And just everybody listening, Nick, you're in Northeast Dallas, so McKinney,
Yes.
Plano area is where you guys are located.
Yep, Dallas, and then we just launched in Austin. So we would love anybody within watching this that watching the replay as well. Like that we really would love those Austin referrals, so we can make sure that our Austin team hits that ground running hard. Yeah, for sure. So building the whole business, and I mean you guys have been really prospect heavy kind of model, being able to build the team. And I know you had a belief in that. When you bring people on, how do you get them to believe that, hey, you got to develop this skill set to survive in this business? How has that transition been? It's a love-hate relationship. Like right now, we would have done this yesterday. I mean, I looked like I was run ragged. And so they don't get it. And even today, they still don't get it. There's a few that do, like, Nate Fisher on our team, he jumped on and really hit the ground running. And, he's 22 years old and 2 years on the team. He's closed probably almost close to 100 deals now, in just 2 years. And he's really fell into our prospecting based methods and making those calls. And he understands that it works, but it's showing and then letting other people see that it's duplicatable. It's not, what I do is nothing special. It's just, we do something consistent every single day, and we're eventually going to start winning. Right. So I tell people, like, our job is to put yourself in the best position to win. And the way that we're going to do that is through consistency. And our consistency is built on duplicatable efforts, which is, hey, make the calls, follow these scripts, and then come to me and let's tweak, let's improve. Yeah. Right. And when we start doing that, you'll start seeing success. And then once you start seeing success, you're going to get the confidence. Right. But beforehand, you're not going to have any of that. You just have to believe that what I'm telling you, or what you feel like I'm selling you, is not going to be a bag of goods. That I'm not just giving you a bag of shit, that it actually is gold in there. You just have to trust in our processes. Sounds good in theory.
Yeah, it's that courage, right? Hey, commit and have the courage, and we're going to develop the skill set, and then the confidence will come. Unpack Nate a little bit more. I think it's interesting. I mean, 22-year-old kid. I mean, geez, he's got, like, I mean, that many deals in that market. Like, balling. Yeah. So what's his DNA? What makes him hungry? Is he coachable, right? Because I know everybody listening in, man, let me find some Nates, right? Yeah. How do I do that?
So, and actually Nate talked about that. Nate talks about that with me, and he's got a bigger vision, and he sees the alignment within our team and appreciative, and says, like, how do we find more people like myself? I said, dude, that's the $1 million question. And his DNA makeup is one, this dude's competitive as all get out, right? One, he thinks he's actually a better caller than I am. He thinks he's a better prospector than I am. And in reality, look, if he's watching this, actually he is listening because he's right behind the screen here. He knows that I'm the Michael Jordan, he's the LeBron, and Michael Jordan is the better basketball player than LeBron, right? But sure. But from that competitive aspect is he takes the competitiveness and doesn't let the down days affect him. Because usually what ends up happening, right, is that when we have a bad day, or if we make it, let's say we're making calls, and someone tells us to we're bottom feeders, we're scum, to basically fuck off, right? And there's even worse things that we've been called. What happens is you're going to have call reluctance. You're going to hang up and you're like, oof, that wasn't good. Or someone's like, yeah, I'm on the do not call list. You're going to be fine. I'm going to turn you in. Right. And so what happens next is you don't end up making more calls, or you're hesitant, or you got shake voice, or you kind of stumble all over yourself. And then you just let it ruin the rest of your prospecting day. Nate took it all in stride, and we told him what's going to happen. And what he did is he came back to me and said, hey, this is what I'm facing. And we tweaked his conversations, right? We tweaked it until it became better. And once was hard, now is routine for him. And that's all it is. It's just, and that confidence level was just getting built up. Right. So it's not a certain DNA. There's got to be a belief that you can do it, and that there's something better on the other side of this.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And here's the thing that we always tell people either. It's like, well, I don't want to be a prospect-based business. It's like, okay, well, we can go branding around. It's just going to take more time. But at the end of the day, you're still going to have a conversation with somebody.
Correct.
So how are you going to be able to articulate your value to be able to demonstrate, what it is that you believe in, how you're different, what do they get when they work with you? And ultimately, know how to guide the next step. Either they're asking you or you're asking them. But at some point, you gotta pick up the phone and set the date, right?
Well, let's look at it this way, because look, I get it. It's getting rejected all the time sucks. It can suck, right? We use it as like our armor. And the more that we get told no, the more that it drives us and fuels us to want to go show the world, or go show everyone else that we're better than that. But even with your sphere, your database, how many times have you looked up and someone close to you just bought or sold a house and they didn't use you?
Yep.
Right. And it's because you didn't pick up the phone. Right.
Yeah.
There was a reason why they didn't think of you, or there was a reason why they didn't feel that you were the best person to use in that instance. And so that comes from not being the best prospector, which prospector is sales. We need to stop having a negative thought process or negative mindset around the sales side of this, because your sphere is going to look at other options, and then you're going to get pissy that your best friend's mom didn't use you, or your best friend's husband, whom you're not really that close with, decided to go use a different agent because they felt like you were too close. So how do you show that value, and how do you overcome those objections and those obstacles? The only way that you can is understanding the sales process of it, and to build value in this. And then you can reverse engineer that into a marketing based or just sphere related method.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's just the path, right? You got to have a process to take them, from point A to point B. And it's just part of the process to be able to, that journey, right? That client journey that we take them on. At some point, you got to get them enrolled into whatever it is that you're trying to get them enrolled to. So it's really, really important. Yeah, Nick, I would say, Nate is not also, you've done it with other agents as well, right? It's not just him. So
not just Nate. We've got David Bitnick who commented on here, right? David has built his lead source is ZBuyer leads, right? And ZBuyer leads can be, if everyone goes out and runs and buys ZBuyer leads, guess what? They're all 99% of them are giving up on them, because that's a tough lead source to work. It's still a prospecting. They're incoming, but they're still prospecting based, because it's being sold to multiple people, right? Elizabeth Austin has built her business and now has transformed it into repeat referral and agent to agent. But her first 5 years, her first 3.5, 4 years in this business was built on 7 days a week of prospecting based methods, and following exactly what I did and building this and building the good home team. So there is multiple examples of this being duplicatable, and then it becoming the type of business that you may have visioned, which is repeat and referral based database. Yeah, no, it is. It's definitely key to be able to build that and do what you guys have done. One thing, as we're kind of talking about people, and
you kind of planted this seed in my head. I think it was the second time I've played golf in like 3 years, and we're out there, and we get to talking about the virtual aspect, and you introduced, you said, hey man, if you're really wanting to do this, you need to reach out to Justin. And so Justin Nelson with Sphere Rocket VA, and you had, kind of already gone down that path. And it was for me, it's like, okay, you only have so many dollars to put the best team on the field. Here's an alternative to be able to stay within the salary cap guidelines and go the virtual route. And man, it's been fantastic. I don't know how many people I've sent his way and sing the praises of what Justin's been able to do. But share kind of your insight and your experience, on the VA side of things, and how you're utilizing virtual assistants.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, and here's the thing. When we played golf that day, it had just started. The VA stuff had just started clicking for me, and we were forced into it, by the way. So we had used one VA, still with us for about 11 years now. And he just pulls stuff for us for our investment company, and was kind of just doing some routine tasks, but I wasn't managing. So every time that I had tried to hire a virtual assistant, it was a complete and utter failure. and the problem with it was that I didn't treat them. And this sounds really bad. And I even tell my virtual staffing team today, I was like, look, before, why I failed is because I didn't treat them like real people. Right. Yep. I didn't even do Zoom calls. I did nothing of that sort. And then you kind of helped me see the light on that. But we were forced into it because we were out of compliance with EXP with backlogged of contracts that we didn't upload correctly. And it was a ton. And the only way that we could get it corrected is I could hire a part-time in-person staff member. That would have cost me a lot more. And we were very conscious of our P&Ls. Or I got with Justin Nelson, and when I met with him, I'm like, all right, this kid's doing something right within the VA staffing world. So turns out I was Justin's second client at Sphere Rocket, and we hired Avi, who came and helped clean up all of our backlog. And I'm like, okay, this can work on this. Then when you and I were playing golf, I had this vision. At one time, I ran a call center of about 11 people that was in office, and when we mixed them together with our agents, it just didn't mesh well. A lot of these callers were making $10 an hour for 4 hours a day of work, and a lot of them just had bad backgrounds. And they just didn't mesh well, right? So there was a lot of drama, a lot of chaos. And when I let them go, that was the worst mistake I ever made, by the way. In hindsight, I wish I would have never done that, but it was already too late. I was not going to go rebuild it because of all the effort and work putting into it. But, Kitchens and I were playing golf, and I said, I want to build another call center, but through the VA world. And from that, I hadn't had that person yet, John, if you remember.
That's right.
It was just a thought. And so my idea behind it was, if I can build this virtual calling staffing agency, I can play this game at an even higher level than what we're doing, provide more value to our agents and into our company. And it doesn't have as great of an impact on our P&Ls. In fact, when we're converting these leads, we should have a greater ROI, because we're able to help our agents, follow up with past dues. We're able to help circle prospect and start taking some of these things off of our agents' plates, and start testing out other lead sources that maybe our agents wouldn't be hitting as hard as our call center. So, I hire Bella, who ran a call center in the Philippines. She's getting paid $5 an hour plus bonuses. In terms of we give her metric bonuses, and her task and her role is to hire and train our virtual callers.
Yeah.
And she's got 2 of them now. The goal by the end of the year is to have 2 to 3 more. So we want to have 4 to 5 more callers. And before we went live, I was looking at our numbers. These 2 callers just right now are averaging over a 20% contact rate.
Yeah. And tell them what lead source too.
So they're inbound cold leads. So they're inbound like Facebook leads. They're Google pay-per-click leads. They're stuff that's been in our system for years. How many people are sitting on leads that's not getting called, but you already paid the money 12, 24, 36 months ago. And when you go look at your CRM, you're like, man, that's the closet I don't want to open, because that's the junk closet. When I open
but
it,
that's where all the damn money's at, is in that closet.
Yes. And so what now every Wednesday at 9 a.m., what I do, Bella trains them the rest of the week and holds them accountable. Every Wednesday, we go over scripting and objection handling, and we make sure that they are dialing in on the processes. And our key metric number one is nurtures, not appointments. It's nurtures. The greater the nurture buildup they have, the next 90 to 180 days to 365 days, that cascading waterfall effect of appointments will be there. And guys, like my callers started at $3.50 an hour. Yeah. So now I can go and build out this full-time virtual call staffing agency for $3.50. I was just informed I need to probably start offering $4 an hour to start attracting more callers in. Yeah. But okay, so $4 an hour times 8 hours a day, that's $32 a day. Right?
Here's the reason too, Nick, that most people get tripped up when they try to, bring in callers on a local level at this rate. Because if you try to put multiple callers in, here's the challenge. You need to have your callers, all of their wages, to be around 15% of the total revenue they're responsible for. Because if you've got agents and you're kicking them over on a commission, it's a little different if you're taking the business.
Correct.
And so, what I always tell people, that if you're bringing a caller, but if you're still deep in production, you need to get an in-house caller that wears a bunch of hats. They're a closer, they're a sales development, they're an executive assistant, they're a gatekeeper, they're a receptionist, they're go get this. They can process some paperwork. They do everything for you. They're an extension of you. But when you're trying to get out of production and you have an organization that you need to get callers, the reason it's so hard is because you're trying to keep that labor dollar low. Because just think about it, and especially in low price point markets, to have that total at 15%, and then even if you give the agent 40% or even 50%, right? Now you're 65%, 65 cents of every dollar of revenue generated goes out the door. That doesn't even, what would your cost, to acquire those appointments? So the math it's so hard to make the math work. Yep. And being able to go, the virtual route is just, the math starts to work.
Well, one thing that we are not factoring in that we attempt to get, and we during normalized markets, it was a better, we had a better conversion rate at this, but a transaction fee as well, right? So when you factor in like what you just said about making sure that you want to stay at that 15% mark, if you were to start incorporating a $295, $395, $495, we do $595 transaction or marketing fees. Even if you got that 1 out of 5 times, you're able to offset a lot of your monthly cost on that and increase the P&Ls. Mm-hmm. So that if you do run the call center style and you're giving 50% to the team member, which in my opinion, from as a team owner, I would do 40% to the agent on any of those types of leads in order to offset those costs, and make sure that, again, the value is there. It's that 10% gap is not going to make or break the team member, right? But if you can capture that 10% gap and you're pouring that into your call center, and they're able to help set up more opportunities, your agents are going to be in a better position to win, which is working with more clients. It's helping them get more money in their pocket on a monthly and yearly basis. And what does that do? Eventually, that cascading effect is, if done correctly and the service is there, then they're working in year 2, year 3, they're working with more sphere referrals. They're working with maybe repeat clients. And now that starts to stack. Then you get into year 5, and 50% of their business may be referrals. And then the other 50% may be from that new cold business. Mm. And when people talk about at the very beginning, when they say, well, I don't want to be a prospecting based agent. Well, you have to continue adding new people. This is a pyramid scheme when it comes to running your business of having a database. We have to keep adding new people in
all the time,
because here's what happens. How many times has a client got their that was a great referral source, and then all of a sudden they got their license? Now those consistent referrals you're getting, that's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you have to keep adding more and more people into the pile. And so that's why I have always and will never change the prospecting based methods that we are doing, to keep adding more and more, what we call fresh blood to our database. And then still I think last year we were at a 52 or 54% sphere or repeat or referral based business. Right. So now the majority of our business has now been coming from people within our database, which is great. But I still want to make sure that we kind of maintain that healthy balance, because once it gets way out of whack, if you're way out of whack on just the prospecting based side, yeah, your expenses may get out of control. Or if you're way out of whack on the other side of just sphere database, you get too lax on everything else, and then the economy turns or something turns, and then before you know, you look at it and you've got a dry pipeline.
Man, I had Andrew Franklin on Expert Mentors yesterday. His same exact thing. I mean, they're the number one team. Yes. They might be one of the number one teams on the planet, right?
Probably so.
And he's like, because at one point when they had to make a pivot, is that 60% of their business was through builder referrals, the relationships. And I was like, dude, what is your threshold to where that you've got to diversify and pivot so you can't hang your whole business on that? And he goes, bro, I freak out at 30%.
Yes.
And, we talk about, I said it again yesterday. I got a good buddy of mine from about the last 15 years. Our mantra back to each other is, it's Andy Grove's, only the paranoid survive.
Yep.
And, when you're looking at where your business is coming, they're like, oh, I just want to, have a referral based business, yeah, it's profitable, but you're going to reach a ceiling. If it's fine if you don't want to grow. But if you're looking to grow, you got to really pay attention, man, because that can get scary if all of your business is in one basket, man.
Yeah,
because it can go away.
Yeah, can go away and that's why the recommendation has always been 5 to 7 lead sources. But you can. The problem when I hear that is 5 to a lot of times people go way too this way, and they go way too branched out far on 5 to 7, and they're not a master of them. Like our lead sources are still prospecting based lead sources. Mm-hmm. So the scripting, the framework of how to convert is the same. Just we just may change our wording, and we want to make sure that we're not going too far outside of our expertise zone right now, so that we can still maintain a conversion rate that is profitable.
Yeah. Bust, the limiting belief that I get from a lot of people, going the VA route, and I'm sure anybody listening in, they were like, well, that won't work in my market because of their accent. Like, what do you say to anybody that might be thinking that?
Bro, I'm in Texas. I mean, that's one of the things I talked about with my callers yesterday. I said, one, I'm proud of you guys, and two, what we want to make sure that I prepare them that there may be some unfortunate, rude Texans out there that, are you calling me from India? What foreigner is this? Like, I'm like, that just happens anyway. Like,
yep.
Here's the thing. You're going to get that no matter what. I mean, there's times that people, there's times that when I'm talking, people don't understand what I'm saying. And so it's when it comes to calling, it's a numbers game anyway.
Yeah.
And so would you rather have somebody making those calls that has a little bit of an accent, who's going through your leads, your database every single day, and identifying people that are close to ready to go so that they can alert you of it? Or would you rather just have that limiting belief, like, now they have accents, it's not going to work in my market, and then you don't have anybody making the calls, and now you've got agent down the street who is taking your leads away? I'm going to opt for version 1. That's just me.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Yeah. But that's the usually the first thing I get a pushback on when we're talking about going that as a solution, right? Because remember, we only have so many dollars to put the best team on the field.
Yep.
And then when you get them, I loved what you said, right? Man, they're a part of the organization. They're a part of the team. They need to feel that way. Like I know every one of our VAs, I know what their personal goal that they're committed to right now. Right. Yep. And they like you've got to know them, right? You've got to lead them no different than you would lead somebody that's sitting right beside you, and they're a part of the team, and they have to feel that way, and it's really important.
Well, this is something that I can this is something I got with coaching with you, John, is that we implemented. So Mondays and Fridays, Stephanie, who's behind me here, she does with our entire virtual staffing team. Mondays and Fridays, she does. I think it's at 10 a.m. She gets everyone on and leads the charge, and then the end of week wrap up. And so, and then Bella and I message every single day, right? Like our relationship has now gotten from twice a day calls to doing now every Wednesday calls, or if we need to jump on a Google Meetup, just to go over some problems, we will. But it's evolved, right? So a lot of times what ends up happening is where people don't have success, just like I didn't have success, is that I just thought they should jump in and learn it. And I gave no direction. And, the number one thing that I would hear people say, not just the accent thing, John, is that, I want someone to come in and make calls for me. I'm like, okay, great. So have you ever made a call? No, not really, but I want them to call expireds. Okay, so what metric are you going to hold them on? How do you know if they're doing well or not? Well, I mean, they're doing well if I get listings. So if they're setting appointments and they don't get if you don't get listings, is it your fault or their fault?
Right.
Right. So there's too many times that people hire VAs and virtual staff or staff in general for the things they don't want to do or they've never done or attempted to done, because they just don't, that's the dirty work. And there's no directions, no guidance, because they've never done it before. We have to go through the thick of it with them first. That way we can train them. That way we can hold them accountable for it. That way we know whether things are done properly or not. Then once you've trained them, you can step back and let them grow it, right? You give them the foundation and let them go build the house around it. And if it's not done correctly, then you can have correction talks, and then eventually, if it's not done even after correction talks, then you let go, right? And then you hire and you replace and hire.
Yeah, you're always gonna. I mean, there's always gonna be turnover, and it's just continue the process, right? Always looking for talent, trying to grow. You're looking for growers, and really just trying to pour into them and setting them up for success. Right. So that's really kind of our responsibility, man. I want to shift a little bit for a second. And, man, you've got, one of the, what is it? The only podcast worth listening to.
The only real estate podcast worth listening to. That's right.
Yeah. It's, fantastic. Share a little bit about that. I want to make sure that, everybody, listening in or watching this, make sure that they get to plug into you guys.
Yeah. So that podcast is designed. Look, it's designed with two other real estate agents. They're with Keller Williams, right? So, it gives broad spectrum, right? Where there's actually no agenda behind it, other than what we do is we do have two great vendors partners, which is one is Justin Nelson with Sphere Rocket VA. And the second one is a lender that we partner with. His name is Michael DeBacker, Mortgage Mike. So mortgagemikeoftexas.com if you're in Texas or soon to be Colorado is getting licensed. But it's just real, raw, relatable stuff that we're going through. Like, so a lot of times we shoot live every Wednesday, and it's kind of just the kind of the shit that we're going through every single week. And or just what's going on in the industry. Like yesterday we had a show, and sometimes it feels like a train wreck, but if you really go listen to it, there's a lot of gold nuggets in there about what's going on in the marketplace. So like, we talked about how in China it's Evergrande, one of the largest developers in China. In fact, I think it's the largest developer in China, is defaulting on payments, right? Because what has happened in China is that home prices have gotten so high that only the uber wealthy can afford, and they can't even rent these out because the rest of the people can't even afford to rent them out. So you've got whole cities of just vacancy. And, if you kind of look at it, that could be something that we experience here in the not so distant future, if we don't get our real estate, if we don't get our kind of our government under control. And so we were kind of talking about that, because the way the United States is going is that, well, unfortunately, we are going to a rental society style economy. And what that, a lot of people think that's easy. A lot of people don't want the headache that we want to be nomads and we just don't want to be tied down to one spot with roots and everything else. But what that does is that actually, it actually hinders, the younger generation and current generation of building wealth. The number one way to build wealth for the average American citizen is through owning real estate. And if corporations and hedge funds are buying all these up to turn them into rentals, one, as real estate agents, we lose those future sales. Two, by the way, there are stats going out there that the average homeowner is going to stay in their house now for 15 years. That also takes away more resale opportunities, right? And so when we look at all this, we have to be aware of how we're advising and what type of content that we're putting out there, and not just being a talking head and saying now is a great time to buy or sell just so you can go get a right now commission. You've got to be an advocate and a voice for what's going on in the economy and to your local sphere, so that they look at it like, look, the average homeowner's net worth is 44 times greater than that of a renter. So John, do you want your children to be able to struggle being able to own a home, or never owning a home, and then struggle to build net worth? And now they're just kind of stuck in this kind of Groundhog's Day of every single day of trying to get ahead, and they're just barely keeping their head above water. I mean, so that's the kind of stuff we talk about on that show. And then we've got guests, we've got guests coming on there. Like we've had Michael Reese. Eventually, before you moved to Oklahoma, we wanted you on, and
we'll make a trip down for sure.
Yeah, we'll get you on there for sure. We've had Michael Reese on there. We've had Adam Bailey, and so yeah, it's just a great show. No agenda. We're not selling coaching behind it. It's just something that we do every Wednesday just to put out. What's kind of going on in the market, what people are real estate agents are most likely facing. And we're all facing the same thing, whether you're a brand new agent, whether you're a veteran, or you run a mega team. I'll do close to 70 million. Those guys will do 110 million. And we all kind of face things on a similar level.
Yeah. And, just as you were kind of, breaking it apart there, as far as what's going on in the market to pay attention to, that's the whole, law of expertise, right? And no matter what disruption continues to happen in the real estate space, the AFAs are going to get disrupted anyways. But, those that are the true experts that know the market, that study what's going on, will survive whatever, right? Real estate's still a decision of trust. And, when you have somebody that can demonstrate, their knowledge and have, the vulnerability, the consistency over time to build that trust, they're not going anywhere. And so, I can't emphasize it enough to be paying attention to it. And man, you're in one of the hottest markets on the planet. I mean, what are you seeing, you experiencing, and what are you communicating to the rest of your squad? Hey guys, you need to be paying attention to this. This is kind of what we're seeing. This is what's going on.
Yeah. So I've made sure that we're not telling people that the market has shifted, because that's not true, right? What we've experienced in the market, we've experienced a temporarily cool down market, only because July and August, what happened? People were pent up for so long, they went on vacation, right? Then you come back and you're getting ready for in-person school, which in-person school hadn't happened for almost a year. It was kind of in and out, all right, are we going to school? Or are we on hybrid? Are we in virtual learning? And so here in the Metroplex is everyone was going back to in-person. And then there was outbreak of cases. Then there was people that were getting quarantined for 10 days, right? Or 14 days. And so that combo effect of all that going on, yes, there was a cooling period in terms of buyer demand. And so what we saw in what I record all my team meetings. You can go back. I go back and replay everything from May. I said, here's what's going to happen. Inventory levels are going to go up. Guess what they did? They went up. And now we're starting to see inventory levels drop again because of the seasonality, our natural seasonality of getting into those holiday months. We see inventory drop. Now we don't have much room for it to really drop because it was ultra low already. But
Yeah.
what it's going to do is it's going to pick up. We're going to feel what we think is a pickup buyer demand when it's really not, because those buyers that are out there have just less houses to go for, right? Then in January, we'll still have a good November and December if you're working and not taking off and just acting like you won the lotto. Then in January, what's going to happen is you're going to start seeing more homeowners getting ready to take advantage of the market again, and you'll see inventory levels pick back up. You'll see buyer demand pick back up. You'll be busy for the first 2 quarters if you're actually working and prospecting and following up every single day. And then we're going to go back into that little bit of a lull. And so it's the seasonality is actually there. We just didn't feel it last year because of everything going on, and we weren't looking for it. And it did get delayed a little bit, but we still have our normal seasonality. It's just at a micro level, just because we don't have a lot of wiggle room in terms of inventory levels. So I predict, I just said on a video, if you're waiting to buy, think again, because prices are going to continue to go up. Stop telling people the market's crashing unless you're just using it for clickbait so that you can then tell them how it's not going to crash. Because guys, like, there's more equity in houses than ever. Right. Unless there's something that we're not seeing from a government related, which there could always be, that just causes a massive financial meltdown or economic meltdown. We're not going to see the sky is falling when it comes to real estate related stuff. Here in Texas, unemployment numbers are looking strong. We still have great, companies bringing employees in, and so at least through 2022. Then we're still predicting close to double-digit appreciation rates.
Man, you got to pay attention to what's going on, right? I mean, it's supply and demand and jobs, and so chatting with Stace and Reedy, their market's in a bind because military market, they have 785 families coming into Fort Sill.
Yep.
And they have less than 200 homes on the market. Occupancy rate is it's in the high 90s, almost 100% for rentals. And on-base housing is almost full. Like,
so, by the way, that's now.
That's going.
Dude, that's been my brother-in-law is at Fort Knox, and we referred him out up in Kentucky. This was last year. I think it was the beginning of last year. And even last year, before they were pulling all these troops in, just the rearrangement of everything. Last year, there was still a major housing shortage. There's barrack shortages. And so what that does is with barrack shortages, that drives military families to go buy. And then there's housing shortages. So that has been going on for the last year and a half, at least. And now with everyone getting pulled back in from Afghanistan and others, it's causing even more. And so people don't look at the numbers. We're too caught up in how quickly home prices went up, right? And then we buy into it. Just our mental state just buys into it. Like, now, John, like what goes up must come down, and that's not the case right now. There will be a cooling down period.
Sure.
Right. There will definitely be a cooling down period, but you got to look at the other external factors. By the way, when everyone's saying, like, with inflation, everything else going on, go look at what's happening right now with wages. What you will see over the next 12 months, maybe even 24 months, as long as there's nothing, nothing that hinders that here in the future. But we are starting to see jobs compete against each other, and it is a employee driven market now where we're seeing wages actually increase, and so there will be not a catch up, but there will still be higher wage growth that will hopefully still be able to get people back into, especially first-time home buyers, back into a better affordability range when it comes to buying real estate. And so, we like to look at the negative news, but we don't like to look at all the other external factors that can be the driving force of what is causing people to buy and sell. Man,
so we were in downtown Oklahoma City, this past week for Kitchen Table, and man, you just walk by and it's like almost every damn shop we're hiring. And so, when nobody wants to come to work, and, you know, I need to hire somebody. It's like, it's just 100%, man. The employee's in charge, and they've got, you know, these business owners, these small business owners kind of by the balls to, you know, have to compensate. And, you know, so that's, you know, I know a lot of the businesses, they need people in the shop, in office, but man, if you have any type of knowledge work, repetitive work, administrative work, that's why the VA route is such a great opportunity. And there's, you know, I forget who I was chatting with about this. John Glutch, man, wicked smart dude. And he was, you know, because his team's virtual as well, building virtual. He has agents in Arizona, and he's in San Diego. And he's like, it's the same thing, right? Because what's happening is that the talent overseas sees that they can make more money. And so, like, even the VA route, like you said, hey, I need to be paying 4, but it's like, you know, that is even going to continue to go up because of, you know, the talent over there, and still, you know, go back to supply and demand. So it's,
and that number is definitely, So I was just going to, he's spot on too, is like, eventually get into the VA game now, because what you can do is when you build that loyalty, right, then you can, then instead of just saying, hey, I'm going to, like, if you wait another year or two, it's going to cost you $5 to $6 to $7, $5 to $7 to go ahead and get, you know, to get that same person that would give $3 to $4. But then let's say you get that $3 to $4 an hour person today, you can then give performance bonuses. You can give, you know, yearly wage increases, and they're going to already be bought into hopefully your system and your culture.
Yeah. You know, obviously we're students of Vern Harnish. He's got a Kindle piece out. I wish he would put the dang actual book out, but it's on compensation. And, you know, he's always, that's one of the drive, that's the number one driving employee factor is compensation, right? Yeah. So how do you structure compensation, and, you know, what's important? And so the number 2 factor that he just started releasing is flexibility. So when you have, you know, when you design a compensation package, you know, you have a base, and then you can have, you know, what else is important. But, you know, it's not just about paying somebody the top of the dollar that's important to them. You know, flexibility is important, you know, additional benefits, healthcare, right? An extra paid week off or something, right? So, you know, you've got to look at the as a package, and really understand what's important to people right now when you design that compensation structure. So yeah, if you're trying to figure out, you know, the wage thing, I would look there. It's just go to Amazon, Vern Harnish compensation, and you can get the Kindle version. It's pretty interesting.
Or just interview and find out what they're looking for, and then design. Like our package with our VA team is, look, even, you know, right, what's going on in the Philippines right now is they're still on lockdown. They're afraid the virus is bad. There's news out there, so their news is crazy, right? That the vaccine actually kills you. So they're actually, not a lot of them are getting vaccinated. So a lot of them are wanting to work from home. And what we've done is even when, and we will make sure that we don't get taken advantage of this, but even if they, like, we just had one of our virtual staff members, they had COVID and they were down for a week. I'm going to pay them for their entire week.
Yep.
Right. You know, and because 1, I want to not have them go, I don't want to have a wandering eye. And then 2, I also then create a bonus structure for them to bring me talent. So, like, anytime that Bella brings me someone, I pay her a hiring bonus. Anytime that Ivy brings me someone, I actually found Bella because of Ivy. So I paid a hiring bonus because of that. Right. So I want them out there strategically looking for people, and that is going to bring in other like-minded, other talented members. And then now I'm building this whole community that they're going to work hard for us. Right. And then we celebrate their wins on Mondays and Fridays, or, you know, anytime I'm on a call with them, we celebrate them, because, and a lot of times what I've heard in the virtual staffing is that a lot of American employers, especially small business owners, promise to the world when it comes to bonuses or making money. And then, you know, especially in real estate, then they never pay them on any of these, like, investment deals or anything else like that. And they're like, oh, that deal never closed. Like, they're not stupid. They know They're just, just don't be cheap. Don't be cheap with them. Reward them. They're the ones helping do the hard work, the hard labor for us, and doing the heavy lifting. So reward.
Thing is, man, if they're winning, you're winning, and that's just the always to keep that in mind. And so it's really, really important, brother. I appreciate you jumping in, and I knew it was going to be a fun conversation.
Yeah.
Everybody always jumps in and is like, hey, what are we talking about? I was like, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good either way. So I appreciate you. Let everybody know the best way to connect, and make sure that you guys connect to the podcast for sure.
Yeah. So nickgood.work. So that's easiest. Nickgood.work. So just go there. If you want to set up if you need anything, you can set up a call. We can also I was doing a Facebook live show called the Nick Good Live Show. I may bring back. So if you want to jump on there and really just talk real estate and helps you highlight yourself and helps me give myself content as well, we can schedule that. And then we're in the Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas marketplace, as well as the Austin, Texas marketplace. So look, let us take care of the referrals. Elizabeth Austin is our number. She works all of our agent referrals. She's number one in our Dallas marketplace with that. You want to learn how Nate Fisher is really hitting the prospecting base at 22 freaking years old. 22. And running circles around us, we can set up a call with that. And then again, in Austin, it's Grant Burkhart and Roger Crane down there, just really, really kicking some ass in the Austin marketplace. So we're here to help any way we can.
Cool. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you guys for tuning in, and can't wait to see you guys on the next episode. See ya.
Thanks, dude.